Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever felt the sting of disappointment so sharp that it made you question your worth, your path, even your future? That crushing weight that whispers, maybe this is where you stop. Let me tell you, every person who has ever risen, every dream that has ever come alive, every victory that has ever been celebrated, was born not in the absence of disappointment, but in the fire of it. Today, I'm here to show you why disappointment is not your enemy, it is your greatest fuel. Disappointment. A word that stings, a word that feels heavy when it lands on your shoulders. Yet, at the very core of it, disappointment is not the enemy. It is the hidden evidence that you dared to believe, that you stepped into the arena of possibility, that you reached beyond your comfort zone and risked something bigger than yourself. You see, disappointment doesn't come to those who never try. The person who never lifts their eyes to the horizon, one who never takes a leap, never feels the sharp bite of disappointment, because they were never truly in the fight to begin with. If you've been disappointed, it means you had courage, you had vision, you had the audacity to want more, and that's not something to shrink from, it's something to stand tall in. Think about it. Disappointment only shows up when you've invested your time, your energy, your effort, your hope into something that mattered to you. It only knocks at your door when you've dared to dream. That alone should tell you you're moving in the right direction. Most people confuse disappointment with defeat. They believe that because something didn't go their way, because the doors didn't open, because the opportunity slipped, it means they failed. But disappointment is not failure, it's feedback. It's a signpost on the road that says, you're trying, you're stretching, you're alive with ambition. And that keys you different from the ones who sit back in silence, never trying, never reaching, never risking. Think about a child learning to walk. Every time they stumble and fall, every time they land on the floor, they experience disappointment. The tears flow, the frustration kicks in. But what is that disappointment really saying? It's saying, you're learning to balance, you're figuring it out, you're building the muscles that will carry you. If the child took that disappointment as defeat, if they stopped after the first fall, none of us would ever walk. The very fact that disappointment exists in that process is proof of progress. So when you feel that heavy wave of letdown, when the job you hoped for slips away, when the relationship you wanted doesn't turn out, when the dream you poured yourself into seems to crumble, don't curse the disappointment. Acknowledge it. It's proof that you're in motion, proof that you are not sitting stagnant, proof that you were bold enough to give life your best shot. The truth is, disappointment is not a stop sign. It is a mirror. It reflects that you cared. It reflects that you tried. And that's where greatness begins. With the courage to put yourself out there, knowing that disappointment is always a possibility. Some people will spend their entire lives hiding from that possibility. They will avoid risks, avoid challenges, avoid opportunities because they're so afraid of being disappointed. But in avoiding disappointment, they also avoid growth. They avoid success. They avoid the full experience of what it means to live. The greats, the ones we admire, the ones whose names echo through history, all carried a bag full of disappointments. Think about the inventors whose first 100 experiments failed. Think about the writers whose manuscripts were rejected over and over again. Think about the athletes who lost game after game before they ever became champions. What united them was not the absence of disappointment, it was their relationship with it. They didn't see it as proof of weakness. They saw it as proof of effort, proof that they were still in the fight, proof that they were building something that mattered. Let's take a closer look at this. Disappointment means you dared to believe in a possibility, and belief is powerful. Without belief, no invention is created, no discovery is made, no love is pursued, no mountain is climbed. Belief is the first brick in the foundation of any achievement, and disappointment is the dust that falls when one of those bricks doesn't fit the way you imagined. But the foundation still stands, you're still building, you're still laying bricks, and every ounce of disappointment simply proves you are in the act of construction. Here's the part most people miss. The deeper the disappointment, the greater the evidence that you wanted something meaningful. If you didn't care, you wouldn't feel it. If it didn't matter, you'd shrug and move on. So when that sting comes, instead of asking, "Why me?" try asking, "What does this say about how much I care?" Because if you're hurting, it's because your dream matters to you, and that is something to hold on to. That is a signal worth honoring. Now, let's shift the lens. What if, instead of seeing disappointment as a weight, you began to see it as a badge? A badge that says, "I was brave enough to try, I was bold enough to step forward, I was willing to expose my heart, my skills, my energy, my hope to the world." A badge that not everyone can wear because not everyone is willing to risk it. If you carry disappointment, you carry proof of courage, and courage is the seed of transformation. You might say, "But it hurts. It hurts to pour myself into something and not see it succeed." Of course it does. Disappointment is not meant to feel easy, it's meant to wake you up. It's meant to stir your soul, to remind you how deeply you wanted something, and to challenge you. What are you going to do with that want now? Will you shrink, or will you rise stronger? That's where the real difference is made. Every time you feel that ache of disappointment, you're being handed a choice. You can treat it as an ending or as evidence. If you see it as evidence, you begin to recognize, "I am someone who goes after things. I am someone who is willing to walk through discomfort in the pursuit of my dream. I am someone who refuses to live small." And once you wear that identity, disappointment loses its power to paralyze you. Instead, it becomes part of your drive. This is the secret. Disappointment is the twin brother of progress. They walk side by side. You can't have one without the other. Progress requires risk, and risk carries the possibility of disappointment. So the next time it comes, instead of folding, remember, it is not a sign that you are weak. It is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you are alive in the pursuit of something that matters. Every setback carries a story, but the question is, who gets to write that story? Too often, people let disappointment hold the pen. They allow one painful moment to define them, to dictate the meaning of their journey, to stamp them with labels like failure, unworthy, or not enough. But what if the power of disappointment lies not in the blow it delivers, but in the way we choose to interpret it? What if every setback is not the end of your story, but the beginning of a new chapter waiting for your voice to shape it? The truth is, what you call a failure may not be failure at all. It may simply be feedback. Life has this extraordinary way of teaching us through redirection. When something doesn't go according to plan, it doesn't necessarily mean you're not meant for it. Sometimes it means you're being guided towards something greater, something you can't yet see. The path you thought was straight may have a curve designed to protect you, to prepare you, or to place you exactly where you're supposed to be. Disappointment is raw, it's sharp, it stings, but pain has purpose. Pain is not meant to crush you, it is meant to shape you. Every time you're let down, there's a hidden lesson waiting beneath the surface. Maybe it's resilience, maybe it's patience, maybe it's the strength to keep going when the odds are against you, or maybe it's simply the clarity that what you thought you wanted is not what you were truly meant for. If you redefine what your setback means, you unlock the ability to use it instead of being used by it. Think about the times in life when things didn't go your way. At first, it felt like the end. You wondered if you had wasted your time, your energy, your hope. But look back now. Haven't some of those moments been the very things that positioned you for where you are today? That job you didn't get might have led you to an opportunity far better. That relationship that ended painfully may have freed you to meet someone who truly values you. That plan that fell apart may have redirected you to a vision bigger than the one you originally held. Disappointment is often life's way of whispering, "Not here, not yet, not this. And if you listen closely, you begin to realize that it wasn't rejection, it was redirection. When you change the story of your setback, you change the outcome of your life, because what defeats most people is not the event itself, it's the meaning they attach to it. Two people can face the exact same disappointment. One says, "This proves I'll never make it." The other says, "This proves I'm still in the game. This proves I care. This proves I'm on the path." And that difference in interpretation leads to an entirely different destiny. Here's a simple truth. The story you tell yourself about your disappointment will either break you or build you. If you tell yourself the story that you're unworthy, that you'll never succeed, that you've wasted your time, then your spirit shrinks, your drive weakens, and your future narrows. But if you tell yourself the story that this is a lesson, this is preparation, this is fuel for growth, then suddenly your spirit expands, your energy multiplies, and your future grows wider. The disappointment itself doesn't change, but your meaning does, and meaning changes everything. Take a moment to imagine a sculptor working on a block of stone. Every strike of the hammer could be seen as a disappointment, a painful blow against the surface. But what's really happening, each strike is shaping the masterpiece hidden inside. The block doesn't understand why it's being hit, why pieces are falling off, why it feels broken down. But in the hands of the sculptor, every strike is intentional. Every piece that falls away is revealing something greater. Your disappointments are not breaking you down, they are sculpting you into the person you are meant to become. What happens when you stop seeing a setback as failure and start seeing it as feedback? You become unstoppable, because suddenly nothing can truly defeat you. Every no becomes a lesson, every loss becomes wisdom, every disappointment becomes fuel. Instead of shutting down, you rise up. Instead of questioning your worth, you question your strategy. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you ask, "What's next?" That is the mindset that transforms disappointment into drive. Let's be honest, setbacks will never feel good in the moment. The sting is real. But here's the thing, you don't have to let the sting write your story. You are the author. You decide whether this chapter is called failure or foundation. You decide whether the setback is an ending or a beginning. You decide whether this moment will define you or refine you. Remember this, disappointment doesn't diminish your value. Too often, people tie their worth to outcomes. They believe that if they didn't succeed, if they were rejected, if they stumbled, it must mean they're not good enough. But your worth is not tied to your wins. Your worth is tied to the simple fact that you dared to try, you dared to risk, you dared to dream. The outcome may change, but your value never does. Sometimes, what feels like the biggest setback is simply a setup for growth. Think about seeds planted in the ground. To the seed, it may feel like darkness, like being buried, like being crushed by soil. But in reality, it's being positioned for growth. That season of pressure, that season of hiddenness, that season of disappointment, it's not burial, it's planting. And what looks like the end is actually the beginning of something new breaking through. So when life throws disappointment your way, ask yourself, what is the story I'm telling about this? Am I writing a story of defeat, or am I writing a story of development? Because one will shrink me, and the other will stretch me. One will bury me, and the other will plant me, and the choice is mine. You hold the pen. The setback is not the story. It's just one page in the book of your life. And how that page reads depends on the words you choose to write. When disappointment shows up in your life, it hands you two choices. It can either crush you into silence or coach you into strength. The choice is always yours. Some people take the sting of disappointment and let it paralyze them. They stop trying, they stop reaching, they stop believing because the pain of being let down feels unbearable. But others take that same pain and transform it into power. They use it as fuel, as energy, as the very fire that drives them to rise stronger than ever. The difference isn't in the disappointment itself, the difference is in the response. Pain is a teacher. It is one of the most effective teachers life has to offer. Success can inspire you, but pain will shape you. Success can motivate you, but pain will move you. When you're disappointed, your heart is tender, your spirit feels bruised, but that's when the lessons are loudest. The question is not whether disappointment will visit you, it will. The question is, what will you do with it when it does? Think about fire. Fire has two sides. It can burn you to the ground, or it can warm you, fuel you, and transform the raw into the refined. Disappointment works the same way. It can burn your spirit until there's nothing left but ashes, or it can refine you into something stronger, sharper, more resilient. The difference lies in how you choose to handle the flame. Will you let it consume you, or will you let it shape you? Every rejection, every closed door, every missed opportunity carries within it the potential for power. The no you hear today is not the end of the road. It's a redirection that can build a new path forward. The people who rise the highest are rarely those who never faced rejection. They are the ones who faced rejection repeatedly but refused to let it break their spirit. Instead, they let each no fuel their determination for the next attempt. They turned every ounce of pain into persistence. Let's be clear, no one enjoys disappointment. No one welcomes the sting of rejection with a smile. But champions, leaders, and dreamers understand something deeper. The pain you feel today can either be the excuse you use to stop or the reason you give yourself to keep moving forward. That is the crossroads. That is the moment of decision. If you stop, you'll carry the weight of regret. If you push through, you'll carry the strength of resilience. Take the example of an athlete training for competition. When they push their body to the limit, there's pain. Their muscles ache, their lungs burn, and disappointment comes when they don't hit the target they set. But do they quit? No. They take that pain as a signal. They take it as fuel. They take it as a reminder that growth is happening, that strength is being built. The very pain that discourages some is the pain that drives others. The difference is not in the pain, it's in the perspective. Disappointment is not the universe's way of telling you to give up. It's often the universe's way of asking, how badly do you want this? It's a test of commitment, a measure of resilience. When things don't go as planned, when the outcome doesn't match your expectation, you are standing in the middle of a defining moment. You can choose paralysis, shrinking back, hiding, refusing to risk again. Or you can choose power, rising, learning and daring to move forward with more determination than before. There's a reason why people say rejection is redirection, because so often what looks like a closed door is not meant to end your journey, it's meant to reroute it. If one path shuts down, another opens. If one plan collapses, a new one is waiting to be built. But you only discover those opportunities if you keep moving. If you let disappointment freeze you in place, you'll never see what could have been waiting just around the corner. Turn pain into power by asking yourself the right questions. Instead of saying, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of saying, "I failed," ask, "How can I grow stronger from this?" Instead of saying, "This is the end," ask, "How can this be the beginning of something new?" The moment you shift your questions, you shift your power. You stop being a victim of disappointment, and you start being the author of transformation. Every story of greatness carries within it countless stories of disappointment. Writers rejected by publishers, inventors laughed out of rooms, leaders overlooked by those in power. Yet each time they faced disappointment, they made a choice. They let the pain remind them of how much they wanted it. They let the rejection sharpen their focus. They let the closed doors fuel their hunger. Without the pain, they would not have found their power. Pain has a strange way of revealing strength you didn't know you had. It pushes you to dig deeper, to stretch wider, to rise higher. It challenges you to prove to yourself that you can stand even when it hurts. And that resilience, that inner strength, becomes the very foundation of your future success. The world is not moved by people who never faced hardship. It is inspired by people who faced hardship and kept going anyway. The key is to stop seeing disappointment as an obstacle and start seeing it as an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to develop grit, an opportunity to sharpen your vision and clarify your path. Pain will always knock at the door, but you get to decide if it enters as a guest that builds you or as an intruder that breaks you. Remember, power is born in the moments you feel weakest. The tears you cry, the frustration you feel, the ache in your chest, these are not signs of defeat. They are signs that you care, that you're alive in the pursuit of something meaningful. That energy, raw and unfiltered, can become your fuel. It can drive you to keep going when logic says stop. It can push you forward when everything inside you says retreat. Pain becomes power when you choose to rise instead of retreat. Every no you face is a step toward the yes that will change your life. Every rejection is proof that you are reaching. Every disappointment is evidence that you are alive with passion. The more pain you collect, the more power you hold, if you choose to use it. Don't let it silence you. Don't let it paralyze you. Let it coach you. Let it carve you. Let it drive you. Every great victory has a history of setbacks behind it. Every champion, every leader, every innovator who ever stood on the stage of success had to first walk through valleys of disappointment. It is tempting to look at people who have achieved greatness and imagine that their road was smooth, that they always knew the way, that everything they touched turned to gold. But the truth is very different. The road to victory is paved with setbacks, and the weight of those setbacks is what gave them the strength to rise. It is not the absence of disappointment that creates success. It is the refusal to be defined by it. What separates those who rise from those who quit is not talent alone, not opportunity alone, not even luck. It is the resilience to face disappointment head-on and still keep moving forward. Because victory is not given to those who never fall. It is given to those who fall 1,000 times and still choose to rise again. History is full of stories that prove this. The light bulb was not invented in a moment of brilliance, but through thousands of failed experiments. That failure wasn't the end. It was feedback. It was persistence. Each disappointment shaped the breakthrough that would eventually light up the world. The same story repeats across every field. Authors rejected countless times before their words reached millions. Athletes who lost over and over before they became champions. Entrepreneurs who stumbled through bankruptcy before building empires. Their setbacks weren't roadblocks, they were stepping stones. Each one built the resilience, the wisdom, the clarity that made success possible. Yet, when we face our own disappointments, it's easy to believe we are alone. It's easy to think, if this hurts so much, maybe I'm not meant for it. Maybe I should stop. But that's not the truth. The pain of a setback doesn't mean you're not meant for greatness. It means you're being prepared for it. Because victory without struggle has no depth. It doesn't last. It doesn't carry the same weight. What gives victory its meaning is the fight it took to reach it, the setbacks you overcame to stand there, the disappointments that shaped you along the way. Disappointment teaches you what easy success never could. It shows you the strength of your spirit. It reveals the depth of your desire. It forces you to confront the question, how much do I want this? And the answer to that question will either break you or build you. If you want it badly enough, no setback can stop you. Each one will simply be another chapter in the story of your rise. Consider the mountain climber. The summit looks glorious, but the path is full of stumbles, storms, and steep cliffs. Every step is a risk. Every climb a challenge. Disappointment comes when the weather turns, when the path crumbles, when exhaustion kicks in. But the climber knows something vital. The summit is not reached in one step, it is reached by two. Aching step after step, even after sliding back, even after falling, even after setbacks that seem too heavy to bear. The summit only belongs to those who keep climbing. That is what disappointment is meant to do. It doesn't exist to block you. It exists to test your climb, to see if you will stop halfway or if you will keep moving until you reach the peak. The ones who stop, who let disappointment define them, never taste the view from the top. But the ones who keep going, who use the setbacks as motivation, discover that the view is worth every struggle, every fall, every moment of doubt. Victory requires resilience. Resilience is not built in moments of ease, it is built in moments of trial. When you're disappointed and still choose to rise, when you're let down and still choose to try again, when you're rejected and still choose to knock on the next door, that is when resilience is born. That is when your future is being forged. The road to victory demands it, and disappointment is the training ground where it is developed. Think about it this way. Disappointment is a teacher, and setbacks are lessons. Each one shows you something about yourself. They reveal your weak points so you can grow stronger. They sharpen your focus so you know what really matters. They strip away illusions and force you to see the truth of your own commitment. And when you embrace those lessons, you become unshakable. That is the gift hidden inside every disappointment, not a reason to stop, but a reason to grow. The most dangerous lie disappointment tells you is that it's permanent, that the setback you face now is the end of the story, but it's not. Disappointment is temporary. It hurts in the moment, but it doesn't have to last forever, unless you let it. The greatest mistake people make is confusing a chapter with the whole book. A setback is just one chapter, not the conclusion. If you keep writing, if you keep moving forward, if you refuse to put down the pen, the story of your victory will still be written. There will always be people who stop. When disappointment strikes, they will shrink, they will quit, they will let their dreams slip away. But if you decide you will not be one of them, if you decide that every setback will only make you stronger, then you step into a league of your own. Because the truth is, most people give up too soon. They stop just short of the breakthrough. They let disappointment have the final word, not realizing they were only one step away from victory. You cannot let setbacks have the final word in your life. They may speak, but they do not decide. They may slow you down, but they do not stop you. Every person who has ever achieved greatness had moments where disappointment whispered, "It's over." But they answered back, "Not yet." They chose to keep moving, to keep building, to keep climbing, and because of that choice, victory became inevitable. So when disappointment comes, and it will, remember that it is not there to define you, it is there to refine you. It is not proof of failure, it is proof of pursuit. It is not a reason to stop, it is a reason to rise. Victory doesn't come in spite of setbacks, it comes because of them. Every time you push through, every time you rise again, every time you refuse to quit, you're not just moving closer to victory, you are becoming the kind of person who can hold it, sustain it, and inspire others through it. So when disappointment comes knocking, and it will, don't let it write your ending. Don't let it convince you that your story is over. Every no, every failure, every setback is proof that you are still in the fight, that you are daring to dream, that you are alive with purpose. Disappointment was never meant to defeat you. It was meant to drive you. So rise again, rise stronger, rise determined, and let the very thing that tried to break you become the reason you break through. Because your greatest victory is not found in avoiding disappointment, but in refusing to be stopped by it.